Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Sunday night, and it is Columbus Day weekend. Family's asleep, and that means I have a little bit of time to do a video game review for the video game section of the Noel Comics YouTube channel. It's been long overdue. So tonight we are going to be reviewing Double Dragon, the movie, the game, on the PlayStation 3, but it's really a PlayStation 1 game. We're going to be playing the Japanese version of this game. I don't even know if this game was released in English. When I got my PS3, there were a bunch of just kind of really random Japanese games that were available in the store. And I was like, whoa, cool, Japanese games. So this one caught my eye, and it just so happened to be Double Dragon, the movie, the game. Now, if you're a fan of the channel, you know that one of my favorite video games is Street Fighter, the movie, the game. And much like Street Fighter, the movie, the game, this is a good fighting game. Street Fighter, the movie, the game was basically Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo with digitized actors from the movie. This game, which had a version on the Neo Geo and the PlayStation, I'm not sure if there was a Saturn release, I don't think so. I'll have to look into that, but it was definitely on the PlayStation and the Neo Geo. The PlayStation version, like Street Fighter the movie, the game on the PlayStation and Saturn, has full motion video cutscenes of the Double Dragon movie, which starred the guy who played Crying Freeman and Chairman Kaga's nephew on the American Iron Chef. And then it's got Scott Wolf from Party of Five and Alyssa Milano before she went crazy. And T-1000, or is it 2000? Whatever, the Liquid Terminator is the bad guy in this game. So good stuff. So you see all these like really cool full motion video cutscenes for the intro. But rather than having digitized actors, and I think this is interesting, they have Neo Geo style sprite art reimaginings of the characters from the movie. Now sometimes these guys they look like the movie characters, sometimes they just kind of have the spirit of the movie characters, but you can tell who they are, and the gameplay is fluid. It might not be quite as fun as Street Fighter the movie, the game, but nevertheless it is a solid fighter. So without further ado, let's get down to playing Double Dragon, the movie, the game, on the PlayStation 1. Here we go. Okay, so here we have it. It is Double Dragon, the movie, the game, on the PlayStation. There's different options we have here. I'm just going to play on normal mode. I think Overdrive mode is kind of like their turbo mode, but this tiny 3D mode is weird. It just makes it so you can like rotate the screen and make everything look like paper dolls. So you can like kind of just zoom the camera around and just have upward and lower angles, but everything is in 2D, so it just looks like a bunch of paper dolls fighting with a shrunken screen. I don't really know why you'd want to do that, but nevertheless, here we go. Now the music in this game is good. It has a very charming announcer, and when you win and get it perfect, she's like, "Billy wins." Oh yeah, perfect. Ooh, this is Alyssa Milano right here. But I think I'm going to go with Billy here. Now, this game, it plays like a Street Fighter game, and I was never really like huge into Double Dragon growing up. I was always more of I was a Sega Genesis kid, so I never really had the NES, but I always had a healthy respect for Double Dragon. I knew it was good. And so anything with the Double Dragon name on it always caught my attention, even though I never really, did a whole lot with the franchise. But out of all the Double Dragon games I have played, I can tell you without a doubt, this is my favorite. And the other cool thing, too, is you get, still shots of the actors from the movie in the closing credits, which is always super cool. So right on. Billy win. Seriously, Rebecca's got a little of the my jiggle physics going on. And yeah, so here's our victory screen. You get these kind of, manga style versions of the characters colored in. It's very much like an early looking 2D PlayStation game. It's got a little bit of that Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22 vibe, which is in no way, shape, or form a bad thing. Loading screens. Let's see the cool character art. I always like that. I always like it when you get to look at artwork during a loading screen. Rival Schools was great for that. Incidentally, I'm pretty excited about Project Justice coming out on that new Capcom collection. Gameplay is very, very fluid. I would almost want a Street Fighter the movie, the game, like this, where they... I understand I'm just talking about regular Street Fighter, but, I almost kind of want a Street Fighter the movie, the game, where they do, pixel sprite art of the movie characters. So... draw Guile to make him look like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Although I'm kind of talking about Street Fighter 2V. Really, if they just made a Street Fighter 2V video game, I think my problems would be solved here, so. That is a very weird man right there. Now, I'll say the artwork on this game is great. However, you could argue that the character designs do look a little generic. We're not getting like Obari, like Fatal Fury, the motion picture, or Bengus or Aki-Man over here, So it's just very kind of... okay, let's make some realistic looking 2D fighting game characters in the vein of Street Fighter 2. Now, some people might say, oh, this game is dated. Well, you can go screw off, because as far as I'm concerned, 2D fighting games are timeless, and what you consider to be dated is completely irrelevant. I don't care. I like what I like. And one person's dated is another person's nostalgic, hot button, pulse of the people, cutting edge thing, getting brought back. So, whatever. Street Fighter 4 certainly, kind of taught people that. And, 2D games have aged extremely well. And now I like the PS1 style graphics. However, the 2D sprite art stuff I've always loved, and I think it just absolutely ages, like wine, because you're looking at moving artwork, whereas when you look at the really early, pixel graphics, they're interesting to look at, but, especially kind of in like the, like let's say like 1998, type stuff, you get a lot of kind of glitchiness and kind of crude shapes, but it's still cool in its own way. It's got its own aesthetic. But this will always look good. It's just looking like, wow, it's like you're just controlling a cartoon, This is being played HDMI going through component video with an adapter that I reviewed on this channel. I don't notice any input lag or anything like that while I'm playing this. People have asked me, like, hey, and is there any input lag on this thing? And I'm not noticing it. Oh no, Bimmy and Jimmy are fighting. I never saw the Double Dragon movie, so I don't know which one is Crying Freeman, Chairman Kaga's nephew, and Party of Five dude. But I've never seen the live-action Crying Freeman. The anime of Crying Freeman I really, really enjoyed. even though it's got just gratuitous violence and sex. But it's I think really well drawn, and I think the story's kind of interesting too, and I love the music in it. I mean, I'm not saying gratuitous violence and sex are bad. I'm just saying that, I mean, don't go watching Crying Freeman thinking it's like, oh, this is just a typical anime, because it is absolutely not, you know. Oh, perfect. Crying Freeman. I remember the 5th episode of Crying Freeman had this really weird, different art style. It was almost like the budget for that was lower, and it kind of went for this almost like, it was almost like kind of like a moving manga style. It was just a lot less animation and much more emphasis on, it was almost like it was drawn in heavy art pencil with hatching and really thick lines. It was just much more stylized with much less fluid animation, and maybe they stylized it for that reason, to try to compensate for, you know, less animation. But after that, then the series kind of went back to looking normal. But yeah, closing credits in Crying Freeman. Great. I got all the Crying Freeman, not all, but many of the Crying Freeman VHS tapes from my local video store before they, closed down. Back in the early 2000s, they were, just transitioning away from VHS. And I remember I went in there, I'm like, hey, are you, because the anime tapes were still in the rental rack. And I was like, can I buy any of these tapes that are for rent? And the lady said, yeah, sure. And so, I mean, I went in there, about Crying Freeman, Project Daco, Lupin the Third, lots of streamlined stuff they had, Lily Cat, yeah. And I always remember, like, being in elementary school, Akira is another one I got. I just remember being in elementary school, seeing those tapes and thinking, oh, that's weird and interesting looking, because I wasn't really into anime at the time, but I always thought it looked really cool. And then, after I got into anime, and I was, right out of high school, and I started going there, just gobbling up all the stuff, it was a really fond memory of the early 2000s, walking to Video Circus, buying anime tapes, maybe eating some McDonald's when I watched the anime tapes, because McDonald's was right next to Video Circus. Yeah. The town that I lived in had a Family Video for a long time. The only reason it closed was because of COVID. Because apparently, a lot of businesses just closed because of COVID, which sucked. Now, one of the stars of Malcolm and Eddie. Eddie. Malcolm and Eddie, that was a great show. We wanted to see, like, Theo and Eddie Griffin get into comedic hijinks. The thing about Malcolm and Eddie is just, it looked like it was almost like the producers of the show just kept retooling it, and I think it really hurt the show. I mean, the acting and comedy on the show was, like, always really funny, so it could kind of, like, weather the storms more or less. But, like, the show started out, and I thought it was really cool, is like a black guy owning an Irish bar. And, like, Malcolm was like the straight-laced money guy, Eddie was like kind of the qualitative, goofy mechanic, working class guy. One was more by the numbers, one was more like human, and and this, like, kind of these two funny, cool black guys, were against the backdrop of a Irish kind of pub sports bar. So you kind of had that kind of synthesis and contrast going. And I don't know. And then all of a sudden, like, it just kind of switched, and they were owning a jazz club or something. Like, I don't know what the hell was going on. So yeah. But it just seemed like the show got retooled for no reason. Oof. Speaking of mechanics here. Oof. Didn't mean to do that. Well, maybe I did. There we go. Nice music in this level. The music in this level is, or music in this game is, it's good. It's not like Street Fighter Alpha 3 good. Um, I would say in general, it's um, excuse me for yawning. It's like 12:30 at night. I'd say it's either like equal to or on par with, maybe slightly better than the in-game music to Street Fighter, the movie, the game. However, nothing beats There's Something There by Chage and Asuka for the closing credits. That music video is the greatest ending in the history of video games. Ah, sweet loading times. Now, the Neo Geo version of this game did obviously not have as much full motion video, but it did have a little full motion video compressed onto the Neo Geo cart, which I thought was kind of cool. I have that version on the Super Console X, so we could review that version as well for the channel. But I like this version. This is the version I tend to play, just because it's on the games that I have on the PS3, so, and it's pretty fun. And anytime you have like Something, the movie, the game, I think it's usually interesting, especially when it's like based on a video game. So, like Sonic, the movie, the game. I would play that. I would totally play Sonic, the movie, the game. By the way, if someone hasn't made a hack of like a 2D Sonic with that, they need to do that. I have to fight myself in the ultimate existential crisis. Now, if memory serves me correctly, this game has hidden bosses like Street Fighter, with Vega Balrog, Sagat, that kind of thing. I mean, these controls are just basic Street Fighter controls here. I mean, I'm throwing hurricane kicks. And my Hadouken motion is like a cross between a Hadouken and a, Terry Bogard punch. Stylish 90s clothes in this game. Good stuff. That guy looks like a Duke. No, he doesn't look like a Duke at all. Alright. I think I don't know. Maybe this game is ahead of its time. I could picture a guy with a man bun trying to act macho and calling himself Duke. So that's possible. Alright, Duke, let's see what you got here. Now, one thing I'll say, when the guys are dizzy, I mean, they're really down. Like, you can't really hit them when they're down. Alright, see who we got next. Okay, I think he's the final boss. I think so. So maybe Duke is like his bodyguard, like his Billy Kane. He's not a very good bodyguard if that's the case. Let's see what this guy's got here. No. Alright, I think I got him. Hopefully he doesn't have a final form. This isn't even my final form. What do we got here? Nice victory screen there. That's some good artwork there. Now that looks a lot better than the loading screen version of Billy. Now we get some cool still shots from the movie. I really like being bald. However, you know, I'll never be able to dye my hair blonde because I'm bald. I mean, I could try to dye my mustache blonde like Hulk Hogan, but that would just be too much, you know. I'm going to be Hollywood Hogan for Halloween, though, so that'll be fun. Maybe I should, like, not trim my, my mustache as much. And we'll kind of, you know, have it be, you know, kind of less of a jawline mustache, or less of a jawline beard, and more of like a full beard that I can then put a Hulk Hogan handlebar mustache on. Apparently there was some plot reason why the guys in the video game put on the Double Dragon outfits, but, you know, they look good in them. I insist that Double Dragon took place in the Party of Five universe. In the sequel, you fight Jennifer Love Hewitt. It's good stuff. She's wearing a cami outfit, so I insisted upon that. Well, there we have it, guys. That is Double Dragon, the movie, for the Sony PlayStation. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give Double Dragon, the movie, the game, a 1995. It's amazing. You should play it, whether it's on the PS3, emulator, or disc. Until next time, guys, my name is Noel. You take care, and I'll see you in the very near future for more gaming review action on the Noel Comics YouTube channel. Bye-bye.